Welcome again to the MOWAKing Chronicles with your boy, the MOWAKing, on this fine episode. Today's episode has got another special guest, another good friend of mine, Cody Byrd's brother, Keith Byrd. How you doing, Keith?
I'm doing good, man. It's been a long time coming.
Man, I'm glad you're here with us today. We got a lot of stuff to talk about, and excited for you to be here, bro.
Me too.
Been doing all right?
Doing good. Seen better days.
So how we start out each episode, I ask everybody a little bit of questions, and then we get into some topics. And so we look forward to having a pretty good, exciting episode. You ready for it?
Fire away.
All right. So tell me a little bit about where you grew up. I know we kind of talked with Cody, but I want to hear your side of it. Since you the big brother, the big brother's always got a different episode about where he bullies the little brother. So tell what the big brother come from.
Grew up right here in Mount Vernon all my life, 42 years of it, and grew on Hopkins Road, right up under the hill from my grandparents, and just me and my brother and my sister and my daddy and my mama. In the backwoods on the dirt road. Can't beat the growing up, as you know. You was right here along with us.
Yeah.
Across the creek too. Born and raised with my grandparents. Stayed there a lot. Just loved every second of it.
Yeah.
Probably the best place to raise a family.
It is a good place to raise a family. That's the kind of thing we've talked about on the show. It's about our people, the Mohawk people. It ain't like no other people around.
Oh, you can't beat us.
It's I'm proud of our people. They're proud to be a Mohawk. Now, how many kids you got?
I got four.
4.
And I've been with my wife for 13 years, and I've been married for 10.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, Alicia got married not long after me and Kristen did. And we've been together about the same amount of time.
It wasn't long, though. It sure wasn't.
What's your kids' ages? Like what?
I got a boy that is 14.
Oof, teenage.
My oldest daughter is 10. My second daughter, she'll be 7 in December, and my baby just turned 2.
Paisley is 10? I did not know that. God,
she'll be 11 in April.
Where's the time gone, man?
Man.
So, what's it like when you first become a dad? What was that like?
Man, honestly,
because I knew you a lot when we hung out, and I say it because, we hung out a whole lot when you had, your place and it was just you,
right.
And you was just a bachelor, and then you got a family, and then how did that turn out?
Well, honestly, I was thrown into the dad role, as you can remember.
Yeah.
And he was 1 year old when we got together, didn't know how to be a dad. And it took me a long time, really ain't the best, but it took me a long time to know what I do know.
Yeah.
And honestly, it was till Paisley when it really hit me.
It hit you.
Because actually, we was in your old trailer when I found out we was having Paisley.
And that was different for becoming a dad, and we learned a lot of responsibility. I know I've talked on the show
it changed my life.
About myself being a dad and all. It definitely changed it. Being a dad is unlike anything.
Right.
But, we had our good days, fun, hanging out. We threw some bean get-togethers down at that trailer. We had a good time hanging out with friends and all. Man, all the karaoke we sung. And
the like I was telling some of my other friends, you can't beat what we had. We had more than just friends.
Yeah.
We had a family.
It was a family. It definitely was a family. And that was important. That was important. And that's kind of things I talked about with Cody, and the things we said is just that family that we had coming up, our close friends that we hung out, we done stuff with, we vacationed with, we went on trips. Holidays. So, but it's different now when you got kids, and I guess
it is.
Well, that's what it's part of the growing up process is when you have kids now, you don't get to see your friends like you do because everybody's busy with work, school, extracurricular activities. So you don't really know a lot when you're going to see somebody else. This is the first time I've seen you in
forever.
A couple months. I've talked to you some, but it's just I ain't see you just as much as, that I like to.
Right. And
then you take vacations. I take vacations. I cruise. You go to the beach and all. It's just a lot.
You, like you said, you work a lot. I work a lot. And so it's like you don't never have the time you want to do it. And that's one thing that I'm transitioning into a man that I'm starting to love because I'm not having to work as much.
Yeah.
And now I can start trying to spend time with people.
Well, I think that's most important is when you start spending time with your family and your people, I think it helps your mind,
Yes.
your mental state. And,
It does.
you know, it's a big thing that we talk about a lot of times. We talked about before is just families and all. Speaking of your holidays and vacations, where's some of your favorite places you like to go and take them bad kids?
Love the beach.
Beach.
Me and my kids, we love it.
So give you guys a perspective out there. So, you know, we live in the north part of Mobile County, so some of the best beaches you probably find
Oh,
right there in
gosh.
Gulf Shores, Orange Beach is
You can't
about
beat it.
45, 50 minutes from, it's about an hour. You say about an hour?
About an hour.
A little over an hour
Little over an hour.
from the beaches. So you'll see that we have a lot we can go. We kind of in a center hub because we only
Yes.
just a few hours away from New Orleans, like 2 or 3 hours away
That's
from
it.
New Orleans, about 5 hours from Atlanta, and then not too
About
far.
6-7 hours from Tennessee to mountains.
Yeah. That's actually where we're going to this year. We're going to go to Tennessee the week before Christmas.
Shit. Oh.
Yeah.
Y'all going to Pigeon Forge?
Pigeon Forge,
Oh,
Gatlinburg.
my goodness.
Man, I can't wait. When's the last time? It's been what? How long has it been since we went up
Oh,
there?
my God. I can't even remember how many years. It's been a while, but that was a trip,
We've had some good trips.
especially when it comes to my crazy behind.
Now,
Vernon, a friend of ours named Vernon, he always said there was 2 things was going to happen when you hang out with me. 1, you were going to have the best time of your life, and 2, you was going to probably fall out with me before the night was over with.
yeah, it definitely been some struggles ahead too. We've taken vacation. Oh, shoot, who can afford those things? It's going up too.
It is.
It costs so much.
It costs a lot.
to do everything.
I mean, every time we go out to eat, I'm spending anywhere from $75 to $95.
Man. And I think that's the thing. Something's got to give or something. We got to get a little bit of relief
Leeway.
or something.
Somebody's got to help us out
No
somehow.
doubt. Because it's hard to enjoy any kind of vacation or
Yes.
having kids.
It is.
You know, I only got 1 kid. Man, you got 4.
I got
And
4.
Cody's got 6. So,
Yeah.
well,
And imagine if they bring a friend.
yeah. I know that's tough. But it's good that you got a good support system, too.
It is, and that's like last Thursday. We
Cody
went
talked
to,
about y'all's support system with your mom
yeah,
and daddy.
Dad and all of us.
To
And we
help
went
out.
last Thursday to the OWA for Halloween.
Yeah.
and treat.
I bet that was fun.
It was fun.
Yeah.
And then we went to Chick-fil-A, and then we went to Krispy Kreme afterwards.
That was a trip all in itself. Doing that.
Basically, none of us could move.
Did y'all have a good Halloween though?
We did.
Yeah.
We did.
It's fun, ain't it?
Yes. Well, Halloween's always been one of my favorites.
Oh God.
I love to dress up.
And this was one of the few years we didn't do the trunk or treat. You know, we went with Cody and them out there to do the trick or treat at the golf course.
Okay.
So now it was fun because it was the old trick or treat. Like we went to house.
Oh, really?
And also, and that was fun because he brought the trailer and all the kids got on the back.
Shut up.
And I like this costume. I don't know if you saw what he was.
I did.
He was Walter White from Breaking Bad.
Shut up.
And Jay was Jesse. They man, it was so funny. They had the coolest costumes. I give
little
him
dime.
that. He walked up to me when I seen him. I recognized because he had the glasses and everything that said, "Look, here he is, right here."
Look yonder. That is hilarious.
He come up to me and said, "What's my name?" I said, "Heisenberg." He said, "You damn right."
I love Halloween, man.
And that he had his little rocks and stuff in the bag. Man,
I think the last time I actually fully dressed, I think it might have been when I was proposed to Alicia.
really?
Yeah. Yeah, because normally I just, always go with her and the kids
Right.
after that. And I was Will Ferrell from Semi-Pro.
Peb was the one of the Sanderson sisters
Okay.
because Rory was Winifred.
Oh, okay. She had to match.
She had to match.
Okay.
Man, that was all. Grant decided to be Spider-Man this year.
Was he?
Yeah.
Okay.
But by him being 3, he didn't want to wear his mask long. He just, and I think he done got tired of it because he was at daycare all day.
Yeah.
And they trick or treat that
Made
day.
him cranky.
And he done wore it all day. He didn't want to wear his mask. He wore his mask. I'm glad he wore his mask. He wore it for a little bit, and then he didn't want to take it off. So we just had a Spider-Man unmasked that we was taking door to door.
Well, AJ was, you remember the Black Plague. Remember how them doctors wore the trench coat with the little bird looking mask?
Man.
That's what AJ was.
Dang.
And then Paisley was like a darker Harley Quinn type clown. And Lila was Audrey off that movie The Descendants. And Savannah
I
was
think I've ever seen that movie.
Well, Savannah was the Little Red Riding Hood.
Little Red Riding Hood.
Yeah, she looked cute as all get out.
Man. How old is Savannah now?
She just turned 2.
Just turned 2. Man.
It goes by fast.
Does go by fast.
That's what the Bible says. It's a vapor.
It's
We're here 1 minute and gone to the next.
Yeah. Man. Well, a few things we want to kind of get talked about today. I think the biggest thing that we here for and what we want to talk about you and I are probably some of the biggest wrestling fans.
Oh, there ain't no doubt.
Around.
There ain't no doubt.
So, we've talked with Cody about the old generation, old school wrestling versus this new generation. So what we kind of talked about, and I want you to jump in, we went through them different eras. Well, you grew up because you've been a little bit older than us.
Yeah.
You really got to saw that golden age era with Hulk Hogan in the 80s. And
yes.
Not the biggest fan of the Hulkster,
though. No, I'm not the biggest fan of the Hulkster. I always give credit where credit is due, but I'm not the biggest fan. The first guy I ever seen that made me a wrestling fan, I won't never forget it. I went up to my granddaddy's because he has satellite, and he was watching it because he was a huge wrestling fan. And Bullet the Bob Armstrong come on TV. And from that day forward, I fell in love with wrestling.
So tell me a little bit about like when you was little, like growing up in the 80s, because you was born in 82, right?
Yeah.
All right. So you got to see really when you was little, like 85, 86. So you got to see a lot of the good wrestlers, Andre, Hulk Hogan, Macho Man,
King Kong
Bundy. So you had that era, and then we get into the 90s, and well, I would say this pre-Attitude Era. Then it kind of started changing. You had the younger wrestlers like Shawn Michaels and Bret Hart and Undertaker. Bret Hart he's a good wrestler, man.
And Bret Hart, as a kid, I liked Bullet the Bob, but he wasn't with the WWE guys, really. And I didn't have like a favorite wrestler that I was able to support. Because, like I had a cousin who was a big wrestling fan. He loved Sting. So I never had nobody. And then when Bret Hart come along, I started, he was doing the submission, the sharpshooter. So I fell in love with Bret Hart.
That was a good movie.
Yes, I thought Bret Hart was the coolest thing to walk in.
And Bret Hart was a good wrestler. I like how he stood up because I remember Bret coming up, man. And I was a big Bret Hart fan. So we had the beginnings of Bret Hart, and then you had something called the Attitude Era, and then you had a joker by the name of Stone Cold Steve Austin that just come along and just took wrestling to a whole nother level.
Well, the reason why I tell people all the time, the biggest reason why I'm a fan of Stone Cold is because me and his personality was always similar.
You raise Cain and stun your balls. That's the personality you want to go with.
And it's just his whole attitude of everything was everything. And the Attitude Era was just awesome, man, because The Rock come along.
But you had to have, like, Stone Cold, he was good for all. He was good because, when we talked about it, that he was good when he first started coming and saying he was Stone Cold, but he really didn't have nothing to do other than just beating the hell out of folks. And you saw that, but he had to have that bad guy.
You got to.
And I think that was the whole thing with Vince McMahon when he started that. But see, I know Cody and I have talked before. Say, I love Vince McMahon commentating. Like when Vince used to commentate, Vince was a good ass commentator.
I like them all.
But then it changed when you had JR, King, and then Vince kind of stepped out, and then he become Mr. McMahon instead of Vince.
Gorilla Monsoon and the Brain was good.
Gorilla was good.
They were good together. And that's what it takes. It takes. I
don't know, though, Keith. I'm biased now. I think good old JR and King is probably...
they ain't no doubt.
They no comparison. They was good. Gorilla was good. Right. But see, when Vince and Jesse the Body went to a commentator, now I like they commentating because they could go back and forth.
They were good. I liked them too.
But see, I even like the 3-man team when...
Yeah.
I think it was 96. I was rewatching when you had Vince, JR, and King, all 3-man commentating.
Right.
That was good because they could play off one another. But then when it was just JR and King, and then when you started getting into the end of the Attitude Era, into what is the Ruthless Aggression Era with John Cena and all, then it just sure enough got going.
And I mean, WCW had a 3-man team: Mike Tenay, Tony Schiavone, Bobby the Brain, and then I even like Larry Sabisco as a commentator.
Yeah.
Well, it's just like what me and you doing. We got to be able to feed off each other.
Right.
That's what wrestling is. Mm-hmm. And it's just like you was talking about with Stone Cold. He couldn't have done it without somebody to feed off of.
He had to have the wrestlers at the time, during the time when Stone Cold was there. If he wouldn't have had them other wrestlers around him, such as The Rock, Triple H, even Bret. A lot of people don't say. I say Bret Hart was part of that Attitude Era because it was changing. The beginning of '97, because after him and Stone Cold, that was one of the biggest matches that Stone Cold had was him and Bret Hart.
It made him with Ken Shamrock as the referee.
And then that was one of my favorite matches. Match, Stone Cold, Bret Hart. Me and Cody met Bret Hart.
Yeah,
that was awesome. And he liked Stone Cold because he knew Stone Cold was going to be big, and he played a good character. And he was a good bad guy. A lot of people don't give Bret credit. Bret was a good bad guy.
Yeah, when he started,
when he had the Hart Foundation, and they bad, and then just that war. But now he just did not like Shawn Michaels at the time. He but Shawn Michaels even going to come out and said that he was a different person back then before he got saved.
And wrestling, which is good too, because I've even heard The Undertaker say that was one of the problems with wrestling today is because nobody's competing for that top spot. They they satisfy where they at.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to be the hook and bull. Nobody wants to be at the totem pole.
I don't know though. It's kind of had a resurgence, I think, because Cody don't follow it as much as he does now. But me and you still follow it pretty regular. And to me, I like Roman Reigns. To me, is just a combination of Triple H and just them bad guys. Now he struggled at first, but when he got with Paul Heyman, he went straight to the top. He good bad guy. He could be a good guy, but now he dominates as a bad guy.
He does.
And I think that's why it's so popular to have Cody Rhodes back. Cody Rhodes, I'm telling you, I'm
a better story.
Huge fan of Cody Rhodes.
Me too.
I like, he was good when he was with Hardcore Holly. A lot of people don't remember when he was with Hardcore. He was tag team.
I do.
And then he was in a good ass group with Randy Orton.
He was
in Legacy.
Yes.
Him, Ted DiBiase, Randy Orton. Now that was a
good group.
It kind of helped grow. But now when he became the American Nightmare,
oh man. It was inedible, man. It's just like Ted DiBiase Jr. should have become some form of fashion of what his father was.
$1 million corporation.
That's just, there was no other way around it.
If he would have just kind of got a little bit more backing, and I think maybe if he would have been just a tad bit later, like part of this generation now, if he could have come back and start the $1 million corporation now, I think he could take it now. Because
the fun fact is, I don't know if a lot of people don't know it, but the $1 Million Man character was actually created by Vince McMahon.
Yeah.
It was something that if he was a wrestler, he said that's what he would have been.
Did you ever get a chance to watch the Vince McMahon documentary on Netflix?
I got briefings. Gosh. I ain't got to watch all of it.
When you get a time, you need to watch it. That's like about 7 or 8 episodes long. Okay. Man. And it was good. But now they covered all aspects of it.
But let me ask you this. Is he a part of it?
Yes.
He is? He's a part of it.
So they go into the details, and they say that he stopped the interview soon as the allegations come out, earlier this year. All of it was recorded last year, far as his write-up.
I didn't know that.
And then they kind of updated it to include.
Because I was always wondering, was all this after the allegations, or was they recording all this before?
Or right before the allegations, and then right afterwards, that's when they had that disclosure, and it went into it. See, I didn't know that before they had the women referee. He had a women referee beginning.
Oh, yeah.
I did not know that.
Yeah. Back in the 90s.
I did not know that.
Yes, he had a woman referee back in the 90s.
She was like the late 80s, early 90s, but
and she made wound up having allegation against him.
Right, but they go over all of that.
Oh, they do?
Yeah.
Okay.
So you
see, I already knew all about that.
And that was something that was
because that's something about me. Not only do I just know the outside, the thing you see on TV, but I always research. I know all kind of stuff.
So they had like Bret Hart, Hulk Hogan, Eric Bischoff. They had Dave Meltzer. They had all kind of people.
All of them's on there
talking about.
Okay.
And Eric Bischoff, to his credit, and that's what I say. A lot of people don't give credit. If you didn't have. Right. I mean, WCW was fine then because it was different then because when Ted Turner bought it, he didn't know what to do with it.
Right.
But then he got Eric Bischoff and gave Eric Bischoff creative, and then it skyrocketed.
Yes.
Because, what was it, 88 weeks? 88 weeks when? 86?
86, 88,
something like that. Every how many weeks he was just dominating the WWF at the time. Because they had become real stagnant, but because... And then that's what the documentary had talked about was when Eric Bischoff saw the writing, he was trying to target that 18 to 35-year-old, the teenager group and the older men group, and having better storylines.
Yeah.
WCW, because he brought the outsiders in, and then you had the NWO.
Hulk Hogan changed.
And Hulk Hogan changed.
Sting character come in.
Sting.
You brought Goldberg.
And that was the thing, like having Sting on there too is just...
Well, I tell people all the time, and this is where Vince McMahon, luckily he got ahead of it before Eric Bischoff or any of them could come in. You have to create, you can't just bring characters into your business and think, oh, well, we're going to skyrocket the business. No, you have to bring in something people's never seen.
Right.
That's the reason why TNA, when they first got going, they was popular because you didn't know Samoa Joe. Mm-hmm. You didn't know AJ Styles. You didn't know all of them guys.
Well,
and you know what I mean?
Yeah, and so when you had it, but now I will say, Vince was saying in the documentary like he was going to sue WCW because they were doing copyright and him taking the talent. Because so when the Outsiders first
and
came
revealing
in,
his shows,
right? that was the thing that he was competing. But see, I just found it ironic. Cody and I talked about it that Vince want to sue and be mad because what WCW was doing, and Vince was doing the same thing. He was buying talent out from all the territories. He eliminated.
He bought Hulk Hogan from AEW.
AWA.
Yeah,
he bought Hulk Hogan, Roddy Piper, Coco Beware, all of these guys from the territories who his daddy said that, don't try to fool with the territories. Right. He said he was but he turned it into a global phenomenon because wrestling would only be kind of like still today, just like a small side time thing.
That's it.
Sideshow, carnival almost.
Which has come back a little bit.
It has, but now, right now, I mean, wrestling is big. WWE is a $1 billion company. To go from, he bought the company from his daddy for $1 million.
Yep.
And sold it, and now it's worth $9 billion.
Oh, yeah.
So, and I mean, that's what they had, all kind of stuff now, movies and TV shows.
And it ain't over with because it's in good hands. Triple H, I always knew Triple H was going to take it over and turn it into a good thing because people don't realize it, even when Triple H become a wrestler, Triple H was running a gym.
Yeah.
He's always been a businessman.
Yeah. But he had that business mindset, and then all the talent he gets behind the scene. I like the direction that he's taking the company because Vince didn't want to adapt, and I think he was always the last to adapt. And see, you hear them people talk now that the wrestling's light because they've adjusted the schedule for them, trying to make it a little bit more accommodating for their families and all. And I think that was good. And he's not only opening it up to other things because the TNA Knockouts champion has been on NXT and NXT stars has been fighting on TNA.
Yes.
So I think that's important, to have that. And Triple H has really brought that to the table because to work in a promotion.
To be open.
But Vince that was one thing you didn't say. You didn't even mention the AEW. And,
no, ma'am.
like
You'd be in
that.
some trouble.
But now when they was fighting with WCW on the Monday Night Wars, they tried to do whatever they could to compete with WCW. I mean,
Yes.
so when the NWO was formed, Vince knew he had to do something, and then we kind of had DX. So he had DX starting with Triple H and Shawn Michaels, and just done it with them two. And then when Shawn Michaels got hurt and was going to retire, and he left a while, then Triple H took it over and then formed DX, and then that actually become probably more popular.
It did.
With Triple
New
H
Age.
after him, because they added the New Age Outlaws and X-Pac. But that was the thing, DX never really got super big. I think that was a good thing and bad thing about the NWO. The NWO, it become its own brand.
Yeah.
Because it was bigger than WCW.
Yes.
You said
You just
the
about
NWO,
to have a whole nother company.
Yeah. But love him or hate him, you cannot make the NWO without Hulk Hogan.
No, I don't think so. I don't think you could. I think Hulk Hogan definitely put it on the map. They was kind of scared that he wasn't going to do it, so they was going to try
all
to
the way
use Sting.
all the way up until that moment that they didn't know whether he was going to do it or not.
Okay with it, and they was going to use Sting. I'm not going to say it wouldn't have been as bad because he's good. I don't care what
Sting.
you can put Sting in any scenario. He's going to be good at it. But like you said,
Sting just couldn't be that big bad guy. I don't think because and that one made you flip flop back and forth channels and stuff when you was watching to see what
I did.
Hollywood Hulk Hogan do, and
I did.
And just the money that Ted Turner paid out. But now it helped them. I mean, they was dominating in the ring. They was about to put WWF out of business. But then when you got that crazy Joker Vince Russo coming in and then started writing all them stories, and then to me, when they made David Arquette the world heavyweight champion, that was when it was over with for me. I was like,
RoboCop and all that.
Yeah. So and it
got too ridiculous.
It got too much then.
I knew WCW was going to be in trouble, and I'm not even kidding you. Stone Cold was the ringmaster, and they made him and Savio Vega tag team, and Savio Vega went to tag him, and the look he gave Savio Vega when he was walking away, I thought in my head, I said, that Joker right there is going to be huge.
Yeah. And then he went to ECW.
He did.
And Paul Heyman.
And got one of the baddest promos I've ever watched in my life.
And it kind of didn't work out well when Vince called him and said, okay, we're going to bring you in as the ring match. Because he was, the Hollywood Blondes in WCW.
Oh, he didn't like Hulk Hogan.
No. But he even come out and said that there were some things he wished he could have changed. Right. He was kind of aggravating that, or mad, and why he finally gave it up was the WrestleMania, I think it was 18, when Hollywood Hulk Hogan and The Rock fought.
Yeah.
He thought it should have been him. He fought Scott Hall. Yeah. And he thought it should have been him.
And Hogan. Yep.
But I say just that match was just awesome.
Oh, yeah.
That is a top match. And
it was.
I don't think that you could have had a good match with Stone Cold. I'm not saying that.
Right.
I just think The Rock versus Hogan and that whole build up.
It was.
I don't think Stone Cold could top it. As much as a fan I am of Austin, I just don't think he could have topped that moment with The Rock.
It was a bad dynamic because you wanted to see two of what is considered the greatest professional wrestlers, but you also wanted to see that because The Rock always looked up to Hogan and he always had that factor like Hogan. So you did want to see that match as well, just like you wanted to see The Rock versus John Cena.
But I think Stone Cold, because he was just getting tired and getting aggravated. Yeah. But he could have worked with Goldberg. Like, he could have finally had that big match with Goldberg, because Goldberg was the biggest thing in WCW. Then he come over to WWE after they changed over, and he could have had some bad matches with Goldberg and to finally settle that. I think, too, WWE messed up. They should have got Sting way back in the 2000s.
I was just about to say that. We got robbed. Speaking of dream matches, we got robbed of the dream match.
Oh, with Undertaker Sting, we've always said that.
Oh, my gosh.
But they waited too late. They was supposed to have it before. Oh, God. before he got hurt against Seth Rollins, he was going to wrestle the Undertaker.
Man, I would have loved to seen that.
At the same time, though, I don't know if we'd have got a good match like what we'd have got if it had been in 2002,
right? Yeah, that's what I'm saying. If I'd have been in Vince in them shoes, I would have been begging Sting to come over
and paid the money
whatever he wanted
to have Sting. Sting could have had multiple championship runs.
Yeah,
but now kind of backtracking a little bit, it will make some of the best decisions because he shouldn't have done Bret Hart like that, and that's what I kind of aggravated because not just being a Bret Hart fan, but I see Bret's point. Brett said, I don't care about losing the belt. It's not, and I don't even care about losing the belt to Shawn Michaels. He said just Shawn Michaels just didn't give him the respect for it, and Vince should have said as the champion, man, he should have told Shawn Michaels, you need to show a little bit of respect, man. The man is already. I'm giving you the belt, and he's just said I don't care about losing the belt. And Bret, and that was a good thing about that documentary. Bret said, I want people to not listen to none of that bullshit about saying it was about me losing the belt Montreal. I didn't care about losing. I could have given the belt up anytime. Right. I could have given the belt up anyways. I didn't care about losing to Shawn. It's just when I told him and said, hey, I just want you to know we working together, and I just, you ain't got to worry about me hurting you in the ring or nothing like that. And then Shawn Michaels come back and said, well, I appreciate that, but I wouldn't do the same.
Right.
And
that's right.
And I don't blame Bret because somebody told me
you
that.
Ain't lying.
The hell would you too?
That's what
and
the
horse you rode in on.
But to go back to the dream matches, I don't know if everybody knows it. WWE actually messed up one time. They botched a good dream match, even though we got it later on in WCW. But, at one time, Hogan and Flair was supposed to have a dream match.
Yeah.
And they botched it. And it wound up being Macho Man and Flair, which was a good match. It still wound up being a good because Macho Man won his title. And I remember it like yesterday when he went up for the elbow drop and the crowd went nuts after he did it. And it's just, I don't know, man. And back to the Bret Hart, like you said, I think they could have handled it a lot better. Yeah. Bret deserved it.
Bret did deserve. Bret deserved that. Bret give a lot to the company and all. I mean, and a lot of people don't give him credit. He five-time WWF champion. Yep. He was in there. And I think, I've asked Cody this. I'm going to ask you, do you think Bret could have made it into Attitude Era?
Who?
Bret Hart. Do you think he could have made it into Attitude?
I mean, he was basically part of it.
He was part of it. And that was the thing is he being in that part of the era, he just had good characters, and I think if we could have seen Bret versus the Nation Domination and really fought the reformed DX, like if Shawn Michaels would just left and got hurt and done that whole thing, and then he could have started a war with the Nation and with DX, and then think about if the Hart Foundation fought the Ministry.
Oh yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Or if he could have had a chance to fight Kurt Angle.
Or just him and Stone Cold reviewing they feud.
Yeah, and
another WrestleMania match.
And I think he could have probably stayed up until about right when it got to the Ruthless Aggression and then finally retired.
Well, Bret to me is like Sting as well. You can put him in any generation. And he's going to survive.
Yeah.
And thrive.
Because
first of all, Bret's going to have a good match with anybody. Big or small. From Andre the Giant to Rey Mysterio.
And then he could it was his wrestling ability. Cody said that's kind of why he don't follow as much. He don't think, the wrestling is not as good as it once was. And I agree and I disagree with it because, like I said, the talent that they got now and the stuff that they do now with Triple H and, it's a whole lot different. Cody Rhodes is off the chain. Yes. He reminds me kind of like he's almost like this new generation of Hulk Hogan. Yeah. Because he's popular. He's selling T-shirts.
With him, I think they got a mixture of it going on. I think they got a mixture of like Hulk Hogan's era in the 80s and the Attitude Era. Because you got people like L.A. Knight who reminds you somebody coming out of the Attitude Era.
L.A.
And, you still got somebody like Roman Reigns who reminds you of that WCW vibe going on with the Hollywood Hogan and things like that. And so I think, like you said, wrestling now to me is off the chain. Yeah. Women wrestling is off the chain.
And the women, and that's what I like. A lot of people say the women put on some fantastic matches.
They do.
Like when they call them the 4 horsewomen, with Charlotte Flair and
Bayley.
Becky Lynch, Bayley, and
Mercedes
Moné. What does she go by? Sasha Banks.
Sasha Banks.
Yeah, Sasha Banks. So they put on some good matches, but now the women that's putting on the matches now, Liv Morgan, Rhea Ripley, like Raquel Rodriguez.
Yes.
Yeah, so they got some really good, talented women wrestlers now. And that's what, to me, they make entertainment. So
yeah,
I went to a live event when they had it in Mobile, and I watched Bailey and Charlotte Flair, and they put on a hell of a match. Like, they was the main event, and they put on a hell of a match. Like, so I definitely, and that's what I like now. And that's kind of why I was telling Cody that, you know, the women that they have now, they're so much more talented.
Yes.
I think they could have done it back then, but it was a different time.
It was.
And man,
Alundra Blaze was talented. She could have wrestled men back then and put on a good match.
And the women that they got now, like I said, they storylines on top of it. They put up some good matches. I mean, and now they even got, you know, they got women's tag team matches and all, and they put up, I mean, Jade Cargill just came in. I say bad joke. She is bad. I like her. Yes, but no, well, see, now other people give credit. I like Damage Control. I do too. I like Damage Control. Like they are talented, like good cruiserweights. You know, Sky and Asuka and they good. So, we talked a lot about that. I'm go back to Sting just a little bit. You know, so we had WCW and WWE or WWF and then competing, and then WWE bought WCW, and then we had the Invasion.
Yeah.
I think Sting could have been that big part of the Invasion angle.
Yeah.
But he decided not to come and went to TNA. Do you think TNA could have really been as big if Sting wasn't a part of TNA?
I still think they would have. I'm not going to say as big, but I think they would have been as good.
Sting has some good stuff in
he
TNA.
He had the good stuff in it. The main event Mafia was a good group.
That was a good group.
Now, I don't think TNA would be what they was if it wasn't for Kurt Angle.
Kurt Angle was another good one.
I think Kurt Angle made that company.
I think when we talked, when Christian first came over to TNA and became Christian Cage, so that was a good moment for me, because being a fan of him.
Right.
And then he become the heavyweight champion. Well, it took him going over to TNA and becoming world champion. When he come back to WWE, they give him his opportunity to be champion.
And that's normally what they have to do with Vince.
Yeah.
They have to go somewhere else.
They had to go somewhere else and get approval somewhere else. Yeah. But TNA was really good back then.
TNA was good.
But then I think they tried to kind of replicate a little bit too much at WCW.
They did, with the Aces of Eights.
Yeah. And then, I don't know, you had, it was the main event Mafia with Booker T, Kevin Nash, Sting, and all. Scott Steiner, and then they had some cool titles, but I think they kind of, if they would have looked at the talent that they had, they really could have built. For one, I mean, you had AJ Styles. AJ Styles, multiple world champion. He is championship material. Then you had Samoa Joe. You had Christopher Daniels. And a lot of people don't give him credit, but Jay Lethal. Jay Lethal was good. What when he was doing the kind of the macho man character, I like Jay Lethal back then.
Yeah.
And I think that's why it needs to go back.
It does.
And then Sting had the Joker persona. Man, that was a good one, was it not?
That was one of his. You know, they talk about the Crow character he came up with.
Yeah.
But that Joker character they came up with was off the chain. I
think I had told Cody that, or maybe he might have said to me that if Cody Rhodes would paint his face, he said it would remind him just of the old Sting.
With that hair. And
the hair and just the American nightmare. Like,
well, look how much Mr. Anderson did when he portrayed Sting at TNA. When they had their feud. Now, that was my TNA guy.
Yeah.
I like Mr. Anderson.
He was, what was it, Mr. Kennedy in WWE. He was okay, but now,
he was.
I tell you who I like that I was one of the best ones in that time, in that Ruthless Aggression era, was JBL, John Bradley. My. That, so he was with the Blackjacks, and because his uncle, I think, was one of the original Blackjacks. I think it's what it was. I think so. And then he started that in the last little bit of the Attitude Era, and then he got with Farouk and became
APA.
Acolytes. They was Acolytes first under the ministry, and then they formed the APA afterwards, the Acolyte Protection Agent, and that was good. And then he got off of that, and went become JBL. This whole
And from the APA backwards till he first started in WWE, if you'd have told me that guy's gonna be world champion one day, I'd have lost the farm on that bet.
You'd have never thought.
No,
but then
never thought
when the thing that he done now, I like now he was super good. You talk about a good bad guy was JBL.
Oh
back then.
my goodness!
When he come out and have his promo, he said, "I am what I say I am, and that is a wrestling god." And then he had his own little group, the Cabinet, when he was the
Orlando Jordan and the Basham brothers.
So I like that era. So we said all that to say about, we got the old eras and have the different set of eras and generations. So definitely worth checking out. How many live events have you ever been to? Like watching Two. I thought you went a little bit more when you was little.
No, I went to I think both of my live events has only been WCW.
Really?
I don't think I've ever been to a WWE live event.
I've been to several live events. Now, and that's the big thing that I want to go. I want to go to a pay-per-view, and then I want to go actually to like a live, like a SmackDown or Raw.
Me too. I would love to do that.
And I think that's something for sure we want to try to do. So for the people out there, again, tell us what events that you've been to, your live events that you like as far as
I can't remember both of them. I know one of them was after the NWO because you remember how NWO and WCW combined they pay-per-views?
Yeah.
And I can't remember. I think it was one of the very first ones that they came to Mobile.
Right.
And combined together.
So I remember when I was little, I went to a WCW that they had at Mobile. And then I know I've been to 2 or 3 live WWE events because I seen Booker T, I seen Undertaker, and then like I said, I just went last year when they had a WWE live event. That's what I was saying about seeing Charlotte Flair and Bayley having a good match, and then they put on. I've been to it in Pensacola a couple of times, so
yeah,
it's definitely an experience seeing it live. It's very.
That was always my dream as a child to be front row when Bret Hart come down and put the glasses on the kid's head. As a child, I always dreamed for that to happen to me.
Man, so I don't know if you remember, but back when I was in high school, Paul Bear, it came around a lot to Such Nail, and I got to become real good friends with his name Bill Moody was his real name. So Mr. Moody, I got to know him, and I could have definitely took off. I just loved it, like seeing that part of it and all.
And I've been to a lot of local shows.
Yeah.
Because I actually met my idol, Bullet the Bar. Yeah.
I think we've been to a local show with your buddy Josh, the Rainbow Warrior.
Yeah, me and you and Kristen.
Yeah. That's been a long time ago.
I've been to the same place that we went to with a friend of mine named Mac. Me and his son went more.
And that's always, it's entertainment. It's good to see. Last thing we want to talk about in wrestling before we wrap up. So we're going to start about your Mount Rushmore. We'll say, do your Mount Rushmore, your top 4 wrestlers. They ain't got to be in a particular order. Just say, these are the top 4 guys, and then we'll do your list of 5 through 10.
Right.
So Cody give his Mount Rushmore list. He said that it was going to be Stone Cold, The Rock, Hogan, Rock, Ric Flair was on his Mount Rushmore. And then he said Shawn Michaels, Undertaker, John Cena, Triple H, Randy Savage, and one more, I think he said. Randy Savage, Triple H. That's about his top list.
That's a good list. I've been asked this a lot, and when I choose this, because I've thought about it a lot, I don't
Bret Hart. That was his other one.
I don't necessarily choose my Rushmore as like what's my favorite, who I thought was a cool wrestler. The way I look at mine is, and I know a lot of people can argue with me over it, I look at it as who transitioned to business.
Really?
And that's how I look at mine. To me, Stone Cold will always be number 1. Number 2, I don't like him. I have to give him credit. Hulk Hogan is definitely there.
Yeah.
And then number 3, I don't like him either, but I have to give it to John Cena. And number 4, Ric Flair is one of the greatest performers in the world. Don't get me wrong. But Ric Flair did not transition to business. He went all over defending the belt, don't get me wrong. But he did not transition to business. So I don't put him in the top 4.
Okay.
You know what I mean? And that top 4 spot, I'm going to have to say, is still open for me right now.
Really?
Yeah, it has to be open for me right now.
So if you'd have your Mount Rushmore, who's going to be your 4th guy? You just really don't know if you got a 4th guy. All the talent there.
If I had to put somebody there, it would be The Rock.
It'd be The Rock.
Because as far as the microphone skills, he's untouchable.
Right.
You can't beat him.
Uh-huh.
So I'd have to give him that spot. It's still open for me, but I'd have to give him that.
All right. What about your 5 through 10?
5 through 10. If I'm the next ones is going to be my favorite. Of course, Bret Hart is one of them.
Okay.
Bullet Bob will always be.
Bullet Bob.
I'd have to. I ain't gonna say he's in my top 10, but I'll just mention him. I was always a Patriot fan. I like the Patriot. I think if Vince would have done him right, Patriot could have been good. Mm-hmm. And if he'd have been a few years before, he definitely would have been good. Mm-hmm. I'm definitely let's see, that's Bret Hart would be number 5.
Bret Hart, Bullet
Bob be number
Patriot.
6. Patriot. I know they don't like to talk about him, but I was a huge Chris Benoit fan.
Okay.
I like Chris Benoit.
Number 8.
DDP. I'm a huge DDP fan.
DDP.
Love DDP. I thought DDP was, Eric Bischoff said it best. DDP was a billboard. Mm-hmm. He come up with a self-high five and the diamond cutter and the bang. But honestly, I'd have to give it to, I'd have to give it Triple H.
Triple H.
Triple H is definitely in the top 10.
So it kind of difference on our top 10. So I said Mount Rushmore was going to be, and like I said, it's not particular order. It's hard for me to say who's number 1.
Yeah.
Because
I feel like
I am a Hogan fan.
Out.
I am a Stone Cold fan, but I have to put Hogan, Stone Cold, and Rock, Ric Flair as probably my Mount Rushmore. Okay. Only because Ric Flair, he had a long career. He was good. He did. And just his mannerism, I mean, it's hard not to put him up there. Me, myself, first, because just the stuff he done and his promos and stuff.
Undertaker.
He's definitely in my top 10. Too. So that would be my 4 for my Mount Rushmore. Would be Hogan, Stone Cold, Rock, Flair. I said that Bret Hart, Undertaker was probably either 5, 6, or they could interchange with some. Right. And then I'd say Shawn Michaels was that next spot, number 7. I said Roman Reigns, number 8. He's good. I like John Cena.
He's good.
John Cena is probably number 9, and then maybe Triple H is 10. Yeah. I like Roman Reigns because of what he done at the time and become one of the longest champions. Like because if we go to 15, because then, you got Randy Savage, you got CM Punk.
Kurt Angle.
There's a lot of talent.
But the reason why I like to choose those 3 guys, because you think about it. If you go back to the 80s/early 90s era, the name to solidify that is Hogan. If you go to the Attitude Era, the name that goes with that, Stone Cold. If you go to the Ruthless Aggression Era, the name that goes with that, John Cena. So that's why I put them in that category, because, and like I said, there's so many we could go
Well, and that's why I said, like, with Cody Rhodes now, because now you got your, because you had the 2 guys in those eras, all right? In Hogan's era, you had Hogan, Randy Savage, or really Hogan and Flair. You could interchange that in the 80s and 90s. That was probably the 2 biggest names, Hogan and Flair. All right, and then you get into the Attitude Era, you got The Rock and Stone Cold. The
only thing that's killing me with Cody Rhodes right now, because he'll always be, because I love his finisher, but he had the greatest storyline for somebody that could ever be to come in. He's the son of Dusty Rhodes. He's going to beat the tribal chief. You can't beat that. But like I told Chris Byrd, the biggest thing that worried me with him, and I knew it was going to happen, where is he going to go from there?
Right.
And then, because you know me, I've rooted for more bad guys than I have good guys, because that little and your little favorite wrestler, Hulk Hogan, that little kindergarten cartoon goody two shoes character he tried to play, just don't work. You got to be yourself. And I don't even care if he's listening. When he finally showed his true colors as Hollywood, that's when he become popular. That's just like Roman Reigns.
Oh my goodness!
When Roman Reigns became his true colors, that's when he become good.
You got to admit that Hogan at that time when he was the man. He dominated. When you thought of wrestling, you thought of Hulk Hogan. You asked anybody, man, you know any wrestling, man? How on wrestling I ever know
I'd
of.
be the greatest too if I had Vince McMahon backing me up.
I mean, he made a $1 million company.
Hulk Hogan won the title a month after he joined WWF.
And I didn't say he didn't go through some unhinged tactics and all. I mean, when he come back, what was it, WrestleMania 7 when
I think it was
7 or 8 after Bret Hart and Yokozuna had a match and Bret Hart lost and Hogan come there and just pinned Yokozuna and won the title.
If I'd have been at that pay-per-view, I'd have Goldberg speared him if he'd have come in that ring.
Now you got to give Hogan his credit. Now then when he just went to that next level, Keith. When
he did, and that's what I said, because he finally showed his true colors.
But now,
look what happened to JBL when he finally come out the way he is.
But see, it's different for Hogan.
Speaking of, he's in TNA too now.
Is he?
Yeah, you didn't know that?
I did not know that.
Man, he come out and helped Dolph Ziggler in a match.
Man, that's another.
And whispered something in his ear, but nobody don't know what he whispered.
I said, but see now, that's why I say Cody's kind of like that mixture Sting and Hogan. He's popular right now.
Yeah.
I like the American Nightmare. That's where you got your eras, you know. And then you got the Ruthless Aggression era, and then you had John Cena and probably Batista in that time. And
well, see, and that's why the attitude worked so good, because when Stone Cold first came to WWE, Vince tried to make him not his personality.
Right.
And it didn't work. And as soon as Stone Cold become his personality, bam, it was just gold.
Right.
Then they let The Rock. They wouldn't even let The Rock talk at first. And he asked Vince McMahon, he said, just give me 20 minutes is all I'm asking for. And gold. Triple H became, he had that interview with JR when he started calling himself The Game. Went from that being a rich, spoiled kid to The Game. And look what happened. Gold. And that's what, and I tell everybody that's what happens.
Even Undertaker was the dead man for so long.
Right.
And then when he transitioned into the American Badass.
He said he had to.
He had to.
He said he had to.
He said, I think it was on his podcast I was listening to. He said he said, look, as good as I loved being the Undertaker, he said, my character just couldn't survive.
They couldn't.
And that attitude, they said, I couldn't do no kind of promos and all with Stone Cold and The Rock, and they cutting all these, badass promos, and he said, I'm just my character.
Yeah.
Kane was another one I put in that, I would say the top 10, but definitely top 15, because he was good. And just his longevity.
It's all about timing. It's all about the character you find. It took Kane forever to find that character. It's just like I was telling you earlier, Bo Dallas. I am loving what they're doing with Bo Dallas. Speaking of, if he would have lived, God rest his soul, if Bray Wyatt would have lived, dude, it ain't telling the ceiling he would have went to.
Yeah, now that was another one that left too young was Bray Wyatt.
I like Bray Wyatt.
Man, I'm telling you, everything about the wrestling is a good category that we talked about for sure, right?
It is.
So, anything else you want to say on?
Yeah,
wrestling?
I'd like to add that Daniel Bryant was always a good one for me.
Yeah.
The Yes Man, and I was a big Taz fan of ECW. I like ECW.
We didn't talk a lot about ECW. ECW was another.
It was
promotion that was pretty good.
Get to that, and it was good. I think ECW had a lot of. Sabu was good. Wasn't the biggest fan of Sandman. Loved Raven.
RVD,
definitely.
Yeah. I mean, his character was pretty good. You had the Rob Van Dam. Yeah. So
there was a lot of things you've seen you never seen before.
Right.
That's what makes a good wrestler.
Yeah. And then, you and I was talking that somebody that we hadn't mentioned, we talked about was Daniel Bryan.
Oh, man.
It was a good one.
Daniel Bryan he done things. You got to have the character. You got to have a good character. You got to have, Bret, like we was talking about Bret Hart is the perfect example of what a wrestler should be. He's got the clothes. He's got the saying. He's got the look. And he can talk on a microphone.
Yeah.
You have to have all of those qualities to be a star.
Right. And so it's important. Daniel Bryan has some good matches. Now, like I said, for his talent-wise, him and Kane he was a good tag team. And then he had that fact at one time with that yes movement. And
yes.
Somebody else that we didn't mention, I won't mention that, I know you probably agree with me on, is Matt Hardy. The broken Matt Hardy.
Yes.
Now the good as a tag team, him and Jeff, as a tag team, they was good. But when he become the broken Matt Hardy, yeah, man, that was good. To delete that the best thing I ever seen. Just
them
something you ain't never seen before.
Them brothers was just wrestling born.
Yeah,
a lot of people don't know this, but Jeff and Matt had tryouts at WWE in the 90s.
Yeah.
They was just born to do it.
So and that's the biggest thing. We just got a lot of
the
good
one
talent.
thing I do want to mention that a lot of people don't talk about.
What's that?
When it comes to like choosing a favorite wrestler, who's the best of all time. Two guys come to my memory, and I'll explain why I like these two, and I should have put them in my top 10 if I wasn't thinking. Andre the Giant and Brock Lesnar was two of the best. And people will say, well, why you say that? Well, because here's the thing. They did not need the belt to draw a crowd.
They did not.
They did not, because they were so big. And honestly, they never needed a slogan.
Mm-hmm.
They never needed a catchphrase. They didn't even have to have a good wrestling clothes.
Yeah.
It was just the pure sight of them would bring you to see them.
Right. And then it's an important thing. You got Andre, you got Bret Hart. It just, and you know, people talk about like, their favorite movie star they like in movies and stuff. And then that's the thing about the wrestling is just how entertaining it is. And you can get behind the characters and all. And man, we talked a lot about wrestling. Anything else? Last little thing here?
No.
Before we get ready to.
That's about all I can think of right at the moment.
Yeah. I know we was going to kind of get a little bit more into a few other topics.
Right.
I know we kind of a little rushed on time today, but man, I've enjoyed having you here
Byrd.
Today, talking about wrestling. So I can't wait till we get back together again. I want to have a part 2. So definitely I want you to come back and have a part 2.
Because I mean, just talking alone about how ridiculous Hulk Hogan was.
Oh man, you know you're gonna cause debate talking about the Hulkster. Now you know the Hulkster is the man. You just gotta say
what kind of finish move is the atomic leg drop?
The leg drop, bro. The
funky leg.
The funky leg was it. That was that move he just had. It just the stunner was the same thing.
Then, you know, the stunner was cooler than the leg drop.
But Hogan said though, I think he said he wished he would have had a different finish move because just how bad his back got done.
Yeah,
but now,
God bless him. My man's went through
in bad shape when doing that. But man, this has been awesome today, my buddy. I really, really appreciate you coming out and being part of the show. And
I can't wait to be back.
Yeah. I know we're gonna get a few more topics in to discuss everything, but we talked a lot about wrestling today and your family, and hope everything is going good. So, man, definitely come back again. I appreciate it. Guys, you already know what to do. Make sure you follow and subscribe to the MOWAKing Chronicles Facebook page and Instagram page, where you can stay up to date on all the latest episode releases, news regarding the podcast. Also, make sure you subscribe to wherever you get your podcast, whether it be on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeart, Prime, wherever you guys get your podcast. Thank you guys so much again for tuning in and listening to us. And as always, stay strong, stay true, and let's keep moving forward.